Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to another episode of Foolery Exposed. Here in this series, we call out the foolery that we see in comment sections. So today, we will be examining the comment section from a Black woman empowerment YouTuber. She recently did a video about Cardi B, and they were saying that Cardi B only got to where she is due to her phenotype and stuff like that. So, you know, the typical thing that they like to say to anyone who doesn't look like them, because they believe that they're victims. They believe that their phenotype holds them back. And so they tend to have a mindset that if you have a different phenotype than unambiguous, then you're automatically ahead of them or above them. So anyway, the typical rhetoric that you hear over in these Black women disempowerment spaces. But let's take a look at this one. Princess Jules08 says, society is more accepting of non-Black people mimicking stereotypes of Black people over accepting actual Black people. But I thought you guys said that you don't want to be seen as a negative stereotype of Black people. Unambiguous women talk about this all the time. They say they don't want to be seen as the mammies or as the women who are being ratchet. So you should be grateful that Cardi B is taking that position, right? Which one is it? Do you want to be seen like how Cardi B is, or do you not? So this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is hypocrisy. They will say, we don't want to be in rap videos. We don't want to be in hip hop. We don't want to be with the Black men. We don't want to be seen as these negative stereotypes. And then they get mad when somebody else comes in and says, okay, I'll do it for a few million. Let's look at the next one. This person says, okay, so I am only a few minutes in and Cardi B uses Snoop Dogg, a dark-skinned Black man, to illustrate how he hustled to get where he is. But what she fails to realize is that light or European features on a woman and being a dark-skinned male affords them certain experiences and opportunities, dating, entertainment, that most monoracial Black women will never see. That's a disgustingly racist comment against unambiguous Black women. You literally just said most monoracial Black women will never see opportunities, dating, or entertainment. So you associated unambiguous Blackness with not having opportunities. You associated unambiguous Blackness with being at the bottom. You associated unambiguous Blackness with failure. Not me, not Snoop Dogg, not Cardi B. Cardi B said nothing about an unambiguous Black woman would never have my opportunities. She didn't say that. You guys said it, so you heard it here first. They're saying it over on their channels. We're not saying it. It's funny how they love to say that a lot of us have a superiority complex. I've noticed that if you have any form of confidence or self-esteem, or if you believe in yourself, suddenly you have a superiority complex. Yet they're the main ones saying things like Black women will never have the same dating opportunities. They can't compete. They'll say things like Black women can't compete. Black women are the last to get picked for marriage. And now they're basically implying that Black women are the last to get picked for opportunities in entertainment. So you heard it here first, folks. I didn't say it. They said it themselves. Someone else said, blame Black men from the industry. Exactly. Blame the Black men. Why are you attacking Cardi B randomly? But you know what? Instead of only blaming the Black men, I do think that they are partially responsible. I have a lot of smoke for Black men on this channel, but who raised these Black men? Who raised them? Who were their mothers? Who raised these Black men to be this way? Unambiguous, monoracial, dark-skinned Black women. Okay, so where did they get these mindsets from? Who raised these men to think that unambiguous women are at the bottom? If you're a Black man and you have a Black mother who is telling you Black women are at the bottom, they're the last to get picked for marriage, they're the last in the industry to get picked, and then that young little Black boy sees his Black mother worshiping Beyonce and Rihanna and light-skinned women, what do you think that little Black boy is going to grow up to do? Just saying. Someone else says, yep, same as Tyla from my home country, South Africa. If she was an unambiguous Black woman, she wasn't going to blow up. Once again, another disgustingly racist comment against Black women. You are automatically equating unambiguous Blackness to failure. You're automatically equating unambiguous Blackness to not being as successful as somebody else. So once again, we've got that victim mentality of you got to work twice as hard to get half as much, or like if you're Black, you're basically fucked. This is essentially what this woman is implying. So once again, I didn't say it. And also, it's funny how they're talking about Tyla. Who's the main audience of Tyla? I'm sorry, what continent is she from? What country is she from? Because who are the main ones propping her up? A lot of people who talk about these female artists, and then they say, oh, well, you know, they got to where they are because of colorism. No, they got to where they are because unambiguous Black women are the main ones listening to their music, buying the tickets to go to their concerts. Think about a woman like Beyonce. She started off and got to where she is because unambiguous women were living vicariously through her. This happens all the time. They like to live vicariously through us light-skinned women. They live vicariously through biracial women and mixed women. They will go and divest, and they will marry Asian men and then have daughters that look like Tyla, and then they get mad when people like Tyla succeed. So it's like, what would you have us do, KZD? What would you have us do? Do you want Tyla to quit her music career? Do you want her to step down? Do you want her to not make music? Like, are we not allowed to succeed at all? Like, what is going to help your self-esteem? This is an example of, once again, external locus of control. They view their self-perception externally. So they're looking at somebody else. They're constantly comparing themselves to light-skinned women, constantly comparing themselves to non-black women, constantly comparing their dating lives, entertainment. You know, they will compare Ari Lennox to Chloe Bailey. I had never even thought of comparing those two. I had never thought of comparing Kelly Rowland and Beyonce until Unambiguous Black Women projected that and brought that up. So this is making me cringe really hard, and this comment is extremely racist against unambiguous Black women. This girl says, Cardi B reminds me too much of a lot of Chicanos or American Latinos that make their parents' nationality their whole personality trait. Meanwhile, Cardi B said absolutely nothing in that clip about Chicanos, Latinos. She said nothing about that. So at this point, I can tell that basically if you are mixed race, they make it your whole personality trait, because in their mind, they stereotype. So you just saw them stereotyping themselves. They just said, if you're Black, you're basically fucked and you're not going to be as successful. You're not going to blow up. And now they're equating non-Blackness with, oh, it's your whole personality trait, because being non-Black is so like high up and it's so pedestalized. And basically like, if you're not Black, you're automatically just going to think you're the shit. And so it's your whole personality trait. Look at how much they're pedestalizing Latinos and they don't even realize it. Anyway, she says, it's worse when they think their parents' nationality is an ethnicity, or worse, a race. Like Cardi B would not be considered Black in the Dominican Republic. She would be considered Morena or Indio, which refers to mixed race people only in the DR, because that word in other Latin American countries is offensive to the indigenous people. Okay, but once again, Cardi B was not even discussing her racial background. She was talking about how she's good at marketing. She didn't say, oh, because of my background, like I'm better than unambiguous women. She said nothing about that. You are the one that's bringing that up. You're the one that is equating her superiority to her ethnicity. And once again, the divestment movement, they make this mistake all the time. But yeah, I'm not surprised. Next comment. This girl says, she always knew what she could benefit from. Lighter skin, being ambiguous, getting involved with Black men. And that was her smart move in her head, LOL. Anyway, you look so beautiful and ethereal, Mayoa. So yes, this is an issue that a lot of unambiguous women have. They don't know how to privilege stack because they don't think they have any privileges. So they don't know how to find and figure out what their privileges are, and then stack their other skills on top of those privileges so they can succeed. We know how to do that. I teach that on this channel. They don't know how to do that. A lot of their content creators are just talking about all of the different ways that they are victims and all of the different ways that their lives suck. I will say about this content creator though, Mayoa, I do think that she is less of a hypocrite than a lot of the other girls, because Mayoa, she like wears her natural hair. Like she basically has a mindset of, fuck your beauty standards, I'm going to create my own beauty standards. So that is actually the first step to embracing your uniqueness and kind of having your own privilege in a way, because, you know, you have a unique hairstyle, a unique hair texture. But a lot of these women, they don't believe that there are any privileges associated with their own phenotype. They believe that if you were born into unambiguous Blackness, you're automatically at the lowest part of the scale. You know, you're automatically like not seen as beautiful or whatever. And so they don't know how to privilege stack because they don't believe that they have any privileges. And I talk about this on my channel all the time. Everybody has advantages and disadvantages in life. So everybody will have different privileges or different things they have to overcome because of the society we live in. So you can pretend like you're mad that Cardi B knew what her privileges were and used her privileges to capitalize. And you're mad because you don't think you have any privileges. And so you feel like you have nothing to use. And so that's not Cardi B's fault, okay? That's not her fault. All you have to do is go where you're celebrated. This is what the divestors tried to do. They tried to teach unambiguous Black women, hey, go where you are celebrated. We have exoticism when it comes to white men or when it comes to non-Black men because our skin tone looks different or our hair texture looks different. Obviously, we as lighter skinned women have that as well, or mixed race women or dark skinned mixed women, we have that as well. So that's a form of privilege. But this girl here, she is associating unambiguous Blackness with not having any privilege. She thinks that the only way that you can have privilege is if you are using the same pathway as Cardi B. So a lot of these women don't understand that there are many different pathways to success. And Cardi B's way is not the only way. But because they live vicariously through us and they pedestalize us so much, they believe that it is the only way. Is basically if you want to succeed, you have to be light-skinned, or you have to be multiracial and multicultural, or you have to be desired by Black men. So once again, they're giving us way too much power. They're giving Black men way too much power. But I digress. So the next one says, people get real sensitive when you point out their privilege. Deep down, they are aware of their advantages and are afraid of losing the upper hand, especially if they are marginalized by some other part of their identity. It's like we can understand our own discrimination and other folks like us, but we are uncomfortable with empathizing with people who have it just a little harder. Once again, that's a racist comment against unambiguous Black women, automatically assuming that her unambiguous Blackness will make her life harder than everybody else. That's a disgustingly racist comment. There are plenty of unambiguous Black women who have pretty privilege, who are rich, who are living better lives than white women. So that's internalized racism right there. But also, she's saying that people are uncomfortable with empathizing with people who have it harder. Nobody owes you empathy. And this is why religious teachings and nice girl rhetoric harms a lot of women, because you think that since you are empathetic to others, that others owe you empathy. Nope. That's not the world we live in. We don't live in a utopian society where people are reciprocal and, you just reap what you sow. You automatically just reap what you sow. Nope. Sometimes the bad guy wins. Sometimes the villain wins. This is why on my channel, I like to talk about dark femininity. A lot of other women, they don't understand that, or they feel like it's demonic or whatever. So they have this mindset of, let me just be the nicest person in the room, and then eventually other people are going to be nice to me. But no, you can't emotionally manipulate people into empathizing with you. You cannot emotionally manipulate people with your kindness. Just because you're kind to others doesn't mean that they're automatically going to be kind to you. You have to know when to tap into your positive qualities and when to tap into your negative qualities. Cardi B knows how to tap into her bad qualities. Ratchetness, fighting, cussing, whatever. She knows how to tap into her negative qualities and use those to spark controversy and outrage so that she can make more money and social climb. You, Rainy53, don't know how to do that, obviously, because you think that empathy and all these other things are like most important. And I mean, if you think that's most important, kudos to you. But as far as succeeding in a capitalistic society by using empathy, or by using, all of these holier than thou self-righteous qualities, that's not necessarily going to guarantee success. It might make you successful in a religious context. So if you work in a charity or if you work in some sort of church or something, then yes, empathy and stuff like that can help you. Or maybe if you're a parent, then like having a lot of empathy will help you. But thinking that you can go into Hollywood or something, and if you're just the most empathetic person, you're just going to be successful. No, this sounds like you've been brainwashed by nice girl rhetoric. A lot of these women spend more time and energy trying to look like mixed race women or living vicariously through lighter skinned women, or especially living vicariously through dark skinned mixed women. They spend more time doing that than learning about psychology, sociology, dark femininity, watching my channel. And it's so funny because I've actually got a lot of people who have converted from these women's YouTube channels, and they're coming over to this channel because over here in this sector, we are doing a better job at creating content. Yes, that's right. A better job. We're doing a superior job at creating content. Be sure to watch my video on superiority complexes, because oftentimes people will try to gaslight you and say, you have a superiority complex, when in reality, you just believe in yourself. So Cardi B thinking that she's good at marketing, that's her having a superiority complex. So what is she supposed to think? Is she supposed to be like you and think that she's inferior to everyone? Is she supposed to be like you and be racist against other people with her same phenotype? Imagine having an unambiguous Black mother, and your mother says, hey, you can never be a pop star. Look, I know you want to be a pop star when you grow up, but you can never do that because other women like Cardi B, they're always going to be more successful than you. Because you're unambiguous, you'll never blow up like these other racially ambiguous women. So I'm just letting you know. Imagine being told that by somebody from your own group or by your own phenotype. And with that whole empathy talking point, like nobody owes you empathy. Nobody owes you morals. Like this is not a competition to see who's the most self-righteous person on the earth. This is an issue that I see with a lot of unambiguous women, especially the ones who critique this niche, and they will come and say, well, you guys aren't showing empathy. You guys aren't doing this. You guys aren't being sensitive. Your content is insensitive. This is YouTube, baby. This is not a sensitivity competition. This is not an empathy competition. Life is not a competition of who can be the best person, who can be the most moral person, aka the biggest doormat. That's not what my channel is about. And if you're constantly playing that game, you're going to be constantly losing, especially in a place like Hollywood where people are very ruthless and cutthroat because they're trying to make money. They have really big bills to pay. Somebody says, I recently started seeing Cardi wearing colored contacts and I'm shook. So yes, Cardi has been wearing green colored contacts lately. I am so glad that Cardi B is playing around with her ambiguity and, you know, she is playing around with her pretty privilege. I talk about this all the time on this YouTube channel about how you have the right to own your beauty. You have ownership and authority over your beauty. Just because other people don't have the courage to push the limits with their beauty, just because others don't have the courage to play around with ambiguity or to wear colored contacts or whatever, that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to do that. So I talk about all kinds of things like that on this channel, and I fully support women changing themselves however they see fit. So if you want to have green eyes today, purple eyes tomorrow, red eyes the next day, you have every right to do so. And especially if you're in the industry and, you know, you get paid off of creativity. Beauty is a form of seduction. And I also talk about how if you have a fluid identity, you could also have a fluid form of beauty if you choose to. Some women are too scared to do that, but obviously Cardi B is not. I really hope that she continues to get doors open for herself. I love that she wears all kinds of different contacts. A lot of celebrities do this, but once again, I've noticed that in the unambiguous community, they have this obsession with being real. Like, oh, well, I'm real. I'm keeping it 100. Like they have this obsession with being seen as real and being seen as authentic. And it's kind of hypocritical because I notice like they want to be seen as real and authentic and Afrocentric, but then at the same time, they switch it up with their hair textures, but then, you know, they don't switch it up with other areas. And I think part of that comes from shame because a lot of them actually are ashamed of their actual phenotype. So like with Cardi B, I don't think Cardi B is ashamed of her eyes being darker because obviously she's been wearing her dark eyes for however many years and she knows that it's obvious that they're contacts. But I think that for the women who have an inferiority complex about their beauty already, it makes them less courageous to change their beauty because people already view them as insecure because oftentimes they actually are. And so, you know, they don't feel like it's okay for them to switch up their different looks or whatever because people are going to accuse them of being self-hating. I notice they try to project that onto us. They try to say, oh, well, this light-skinned woman with a weave, she has a wannabe Brazilian wavy, like what Chrissy said a long time ago, that a girl has a wannabe Brazilian wavy fried leave out. So they're afraid that others will do that to them. So I notice they will project that onto us. And it seems like that's what this woman is trying to do. She wants Cardi B to feel ashamed of her natural beauty, and she wants Cardi B to feel ashamed about wearing green colored contacts. She doesn't want Cardi B to be confident with changing her eye color. She doesn't want Cardi B to feel confident with switching up her look because this girl is not confident about switching up her look to that level. And so she's mad and triggered by the freedom that Cardi B has to be able to have dark brown eyes one day and then have light green eyes the next day. She's triggered by the courage that Cardi B has to go out in public in front of millions of people and have different colored contacts on. This woman seems like she has never witnessed that kind of confidence and courage and fluid identity, or a woman who's willing to press the limits with her beauty or completely switch it up. And it's like, you guys had no problem with Kylie Jenner getting a whole new face. But now suddenly if Cardi B decides to get some $20 contacts from the beauty supply, now suddenly you're shook? Isn't that funny? Like, so other women who are like white or whatever, they can do whatever they want. They can do as many plastic surgeries as they want. They can wear colored contacts because a lot of them do that all the time. And suddenly if Cardi B does it, she's shook because, you know, you're a woman of color, so you can't change up your eye color. You can't have blue eyes or green eyes. You're not allowed to do that, Cardi B. You have to stay in the same box that I'm in. You need to represent me, Cardi B. I have dark brown eyes. I'm an unambiguous woman. I have dark brown eyes. You need to represent my eye color in Hollywood. And this is what I'm talking about when I say they live vicariously through us. They live vicariously through our beauty, because they feel like they have the right to tell us, no, you shouldn't wear that, or like, if I were you, I would have done my makeup like this. And it's like they treat us as if we were walking Barbie dolls or like demigods or something. And it's like, I can't believe she's wearing green contacts. Oh my goodness. And it's like, we don't owe anybody our beauty. It's our body. Like, that's Cardi B's body. She can do whatever she wants with it. If she wants to wear contacts every day, she can. If she wants to get a surgery, she can. If she wants to do dark brown eyes again tomorrow, she can. You know why? Because it's her body. And it's funny how they will say to us, they'll be like, oh, stay out of a black woman's hair, stay out of black women's business. Why are you so obsessed with how we do our hair? We can do whatever we want with our hair. And you're right. They're right. They can. But then suddenly they don't keep that same energy with Cardi B. It's like, oh, Cardi B, you can change your hair, you can change your body with surgery, but you're not allowed to wear contacts. Like, what are you doing? How dare you? I'm shook. And they have this obsession with us being almost like these social justice warriors, where if we are women of color, we are required to represent women of color 24/7. And, you know, we are required to use our privilege, quote unquote, to constantly represent them. And once again, this is very sad. Like, stop begging others to be your representation. Cardi B, if she doesn't want to represent dark brown eyes today, then she doesn't have to. We are not your representative. Stop begging others to be your representation. Somebody else said, the same Cardi that spoke about black strip clubs not hiring black strippers, only mixed and Latina strippers. When she first started, she used to pander to black women, talking about how blacks always preferred lighter-skinned women and how wrong it was. Yeah, a lot of us start off as light-skinned saviors. A lot of us start off having the cape for unambiguous women, but then a lot of women, especially these women in Hollywood who are getting bullied, you know, all the time, a lot of women learn, no matter what I do, it's not good enough. No matter what I do, I'm wrong. If I pander, I'm wrong, or I don't understand, or, you know, I'm bragging. Like, if we admit our privilege, quote unquote, and say, yeah, I get treated better than you. I get treated better than you because I'm light skinned. If we say something like that, then obviously we're going to be called disgusting, racist, and colorist or whatever, or you're going to say, oh, you did it wrong. Kind of like Thandie Newton apologizing, and then people are like, no, you did it wrong. So it's like, okay, if we apologize, we're wrong. So then over time, a lot of us learn, okay, let's stop apologizing. We're not going to benefit anything. Like, we're not gaining anything from this. And also for some women, we're like, hey, we just tried to stick up for you. We've been trying to help you. We've allowed you guys to speak for however many years, and you still turn against us. This reminds me of here on YouTube. We didn't have our own sector. Well, actually, you guys said that there was a sector like this years ago, but for the most part, we didn't have our own sector that was about to become mainstream like how we are now. We allowed unambiguous women to talk for 10 years, 10, 15 years. We allowed them to dominate the conversation. It really wasn't a conversation because a conversation is between two people, both sharing and both listening, but we allowed them to speak. And instead of them like being happy about that or just like chilling, a lot of them decided to still turn on us when we weren't even a part of the conversation. Literally, we didn't even have YouTube channels. So I understand now, like, if they want to come back at us or like have a conversation now, but it's like, no matter what we do, we've noticed a pattern where a lot of unambiguous women, a lot of their jealousy or inferiority complex gets in the way at some point. And so then they turn around and start bullying us or lashing out against us and making us their emotional punching bags. And so a lot of women decide after a while, okay, I'm done being the punching bag. Somebody else says, it's not pretty privilege, it's ambiguity privilege. Don't mix the two. If it was just pretty privilege, then you would have many female artists like Flo Milli, Arya Starr, Thames, Normani getting the same hype as Tyla. And with this issue, it's a very different situation from pretty privilege. No, Tyla absolutely does have pretty privilege, as well as Cardi B. Just like unambiguous blackness is beautiful, light-skinned blackness is also beautiful. Mixed race blackness is beautiful. Biracial blackness is beautiful. So we're not going to sit here and pretend like if you're unambiguous, you're automatically the most beautiful woman in the world. I think to some people, yes, you will be, but a lot of people do appreciate mixed race beauty as well because you can see the beauty of the Indian phenotype in Tyla, you can see the beauty of the African phenotype in Tyla. And once again, which one is it? Because unambiguous black women say all the time that they are called ugly, that they're seen as ugly. They even call light-skinned women with African features ugly. And so they talk about how people find their features ugly or not pretty, but then they want to turn around and say somebody with non-black features is also not pretty. So it's like, which one is it? You guys are the main ones who came on the internet saying you guys don't have pretty privilege and how it sucks and all that. So we're not going to sit here and pretend like mixed race women can't be seen as beautiful or like ambiguous blackness is not seen as beautiful, because it absolutely is. Just like how unambiguous blackness can be beautiful, so can ambiguous blackness. Also, black women themselves are the ones who say that black men think that anything mixed is automatically pretty. Okay, so you guys said that. You guys said that black men will automatically give us pretty privilege because we have a lighter skin tone or a mixed background or whatever. So which one is it? So when somebody on YouTube admits that and in the comment section and says, yeah, she has pretty privilege, Tyla does, then suddenly people want to say, no, she doesn't have pretty privilege. She just has ambiguity privilege. Somebody else said, so did Nicki benefit from pretty privilege as well, or light skin privilege? Or was it because she bragged about her mixed background? Nicki Minaj benefited from all three. Nicki Minaj is pretty, she is light skinned, and she is also mixed. So Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Tyla, all these people, they know how to stack their privileges. They have multiple privileges. I don't know why a lot of these women on here, they think that you can only have one privilege. Like, oh no, Beyonce only has light skin privilege. That's it. No, Beyonce has beauty privilege. She has had thin privilege. She has had wealth privilege, education privilege. Beyonce is very knowledgeable about music. She has a huge education privilege when it comes to music. So there's a such thing as being mixed and then also having other privileges that you stack on top of that. So, but they seem to have this all or nothing mindset where it's like, oh no, everything you got, it's only because you're light skinned. Everything you got, it's only because you're mixed, Tyla. Tyla can actually sing. She can dance. You know, she has talent privilege. This person says she's not bragging about being a victim. She's telling it how it is. I'm a beautiful black woman and I will have different experiences from you due to my skin color. Everything she said is true and well studied. So what are these different experiences? You mean negative experiences. That's what they're saying. They're saying that the difference between being unambiguous versus being ambiguous is that you have more negative experiences. So once again, that's a disgustingly racist comment against unambiguous black women. I say this on here all the time. There are plenty of unambiguous black women who are living normal lives, who have pretty privilege, who do not have different negative experiences. And if they do have the different negative experiences, I guess it could be colorism or like systematic racism or something like that. But people act like because racism exists that like you can never succeed in life. And that's false. Because you're equating being a person of color or being dark skinned and unambiguous with failure. And I don't like that. And I'm not going to be associated with that. Dark skin is not a handicap. Unambiguous blackness is not a handicap. Being monoracial does not have to be a handicap. So that's you saying that, not us. Someone said, exactly, there's so many talented black female artists like Tiana Taylor, etc., who can dance and sing better than Tyla, but she doesn't get the same hype. Instead, people were coming for her looks and kept saying she looks like a man, and we all know why. No one has ever said that about Tyla, and we also know why. It's not a coincidence that so many dark-skinned and brown-skinned female artists are being slept on, but racially ambiguous women are always pushed more. Who's sleeping on them? It's unambiguous black women. You guys ignored Kelly Rowland's music, you ignore Normani, you ignore Ari Lennox, all in favor of us, in favor of light-skinned women, in favor of multi-generationally mixed women, in favor of dark-skinned mixed women. And so that's you guys who are listening to the music. Notice how you guys are in the comment section right now talking about Tyla when this video is not even about Tyla. The video was about Cardi B. And now you're bringing up and propping up and making another mixed race artist even more visible by randomly bringing her in the conversation. So this is what I mean when I say they tend to treat these people like more of celebrities. They put them on more of a pedestal. They bring us up randomly and they constantly memorize our successes. They memorize how successful we are. They talk about how amazing our lives are. And they actually don't realize that they are helping our collective perception and they're diminishing their own by doing that. And now we've got a liar in the comment section. This person says, Tyla isn't racially ambiguous though. When you look at her, you can tell she has a black African ancestry and she has deep brown skin. Just because she wouldn't be considered black in South Africa doesn't mean the rest of the world thinks the same. Okay, so once again, we have the you just look black talking point as if most unambiguous monoracial dark-skinned black women look just like Tyla. This is exactly why we are able to have such fluid identities and be so successful, because you guys lie to yourselves so much that you guys pretend that you all look like Tyla and Beyonce and Rihanna and Cardi B. You guys like to pretend you look like us, and we know how to use that to our advantage to make money. And we're like, oh, okay, you can relate to me? Great. So can you buy my concert tickets now? Okay, thanks. Exotical tax. This person says, girl, stop it. You couldn't even mention any full black person with two full black parents who looks like Tyla if she isn't ambiguous. Why can't you mention any full black person who looks like her, though? Like, make it make sense. Y'all are living through these ambiguous women. That's why you're fighting so hard for them to be black. Like, let it go, sis. Yes, they live vicariously through us so hard. They want to approximate themselves to our phenotypes so badly, to the point where in one breath they're saying, if you look unambiguous, you won't get pushed as hard. And then in the next breath, they're trying to equate Tyla to being unambiguous, or to looking like a quote unquote regular black girl, which means unambiguous by their own definitions. So which one is it? Are biracial women unambiguous, or are we not? So this is exactly the problem. You guys can't decide. Well, it's not that you guys can't decide, it's that you guys don't want to give us up, because you know that a lot of your successes are actually our successes as mixed race people or light-skinned people or whatever, and you guys don't want to admit that you guys helped us get there, and that you guys are the ones constantly talking about us and constantly promoting us. It's funny because I made a video one time about Rosa Parks and how she, helped the black community, and people were like, there's somebody else that was an unambiguous woman who, like, she sat down on the bus and she was the first one to actually do that. And it's like, okay, but who do you guys talk about more? You guys popularized Rosa Parks more. You guys popularize us more than you popularize yourselves. And part of it is because you guys lie to yourselves and pretend like the wigs you wear and stuff are your natural hair texture, or you pretend like, oh, we all look like Tyla. Tyla has a deep brown skin tone. She does not look ambiguous. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's cognitive dissonance, pretending that you guys have the same phenotypes and experiences in one breath, but then in the next breath, getting mad that we get propped up. You guys did this with Cardi B. You allowed her to say the N-word. You allowed her to go into black spaces. You guys listened to her music and propped her up. You guys watch Love and Hip Hop, which are mainly all of these shows, Real Housewives of Potomac, Love and Hip Hop. These shows mainly have unambiguous audiences, and the shows themselves are starring my phenotype. They're starring light-skinned mixed women, dark-skinned mixed women, biracial women, white-passing women. So you guys are the ones supporting these women because you guys lie to yourselves and say, oh, well, I look just like these women. They look like unambiguous black women. They have a deep brown skin tone. What a lot of women need to understand is that we don't live in a utopian society, okay? So nobody's going to give up their quote-unquote privilege. Whatever you were born with, use it. So I don't walk up to random white people and say, excuse me, you only own that business because of white privilege. You need to cancel your business, live in poverty, and give up your privilege so that I can have it. Nobody's going to do that because, unfortunately, the society we live in is a society where people profit off of others being at the bottom, or they profit off of others being more poor than them. So this is why I talk about privilege stacking. So I have no problem whatsoever with people utilizing their privileges, whatever privileges they may have. And then somebody was like, oh, well, it's not pretty privilege, it's light skin privilege. Okay, well, light skin privilege can help somebody to be seen as beautiful, just like how dark skin privilege can help somebody to be seen as beautiful by someone who's not dark skinned. So why is it that when you're talking about light skin privilege, it's automatically bad and horrible to profit off of it? But then you guys in the same breath turn around and say, go where you're celebrated, go divest, go to white spaces, and then you'll be celebrated and propped up because you will have exoticism privilege in white spaces and you will have dark skin privilege in white spaces. So it's like you're telling us not to do it, but then you're doing the exact same thing by divesting. You're telling us not to wear our hair curly or like flaunt our curly hair, but then you guys do the exact same thing by flaunting your 4C hair when you're divesting or when you want to date a white man. So you can't get mad that people are playing the game. You can't get mad that people are playing the marketing game, they're playing the desirability game, they're playing the pretty privilege game, and they're doing it better than you. Anyway, what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.